Okay, welcome back to my channel. I am Caspian and I read a lot of books, mainly library books. And I'm here to start a reading vlog. I wasn't gonna start it right this minute, but I feel like reading when I cook. Okay, so I'm making lunch. Beneath you here, you are in my cabinet right now. So I was like, I have to start this now because I'm gonna start reading now. So yeah, that's where we are. So this is gonna be a vlog of sequels, the second part of a few series, depending on how long it gets. But yeah, so yesterday I finished Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I was like, oh, that means I now have 3 sequels, part 2s at home from the library in 3 different series or duologies. I should make a vlog of this. So yeah, that's where I am, because I have to read all of them in August because they are due back at the library, and there is, apart from the one I'm gonna read now, there is there's a queue on them, right? There are waiting lists on the other 2. So yeah, just gonna flip something here. So I'm sorry for any other noise. It's I'm just frying things. I'm making pancakes, okay? So anyway, I finished Red Rising yesterday, and I'm gonna start the next book. I read them in Swedish. So the original title of this one, let's see. Yeah, so the original title of this one is Golden Sun. So yeah, this is what it looks like in Swedish. Gyllene sonen. Gyllene is golden and sonen is the sun. Yeah, so this is what I'm gonna start right now when I'm cooking. I don't do audiobooks, you guys know that. So I'm gonna read this as I make my pancakes. And then you will find out what the other 2 books are. Because I don't know if I'm gonna get to both of them in this vlog, but I hope so. But I will let you know about this one a little bit later. I will talk about the series, and I will talk about what I think of it when I get a bit into it. Maybe I will look out for spoilers. You know, it's gonna be sequels, so I'm probably gonna spoil a little bit, at least. So yeah, I will get back to you when I have eaten and talk about the Red Rising series, because I read the first book yesterday. And then when I get like 100 pages into this one, I will let you know how I'm liking that one so far. So I will see you guys later. Okay, so I have now finished eating, and yeah, so I started this a little bit. I didn't get very far. I always think that, oh, it's gonna take a long time to cook, so I will read a lot. But I read like, well, actually I read like 15 pages. So that's not nothing. That's not a small amount. It did take time to cook. So this is the second book in the Red Rising series. I don't know if it has another name. And on the front it says, The Hunger Games meet The Lord of the Flies, meet Blade Runner, meet Game of Thrones, and it's just to lean back and enjoy. And that's a famous person, Linda Skugge, from the Gothenburg Mail. It's called Göteborgs-Posten, but yeah, it's from a newspaper in Gothenburg. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a spoilery vlog because I'm gonna talk about what I enjoy, I think. But I'm gonna start with talking a little bit about the first book, so Red Rising. So in Red Rising we followed Darrow, and in these books there are like a color, the people are color coded. The first book is mainly on Mars. And in that book we follow Darrow, and he is a red, and he's the lowest of all of the colors. And when he grows up, he's taught that he is that humans haven't conquered, or like they haven't inhabited Mars yet, and that the work of the Red they are first out in space to kind of pave the way to make Mars habitable. So all of the Red grow up thinking that they are the first on Mars, they're gonna make it habitable for other people, they are like paving the way, they are pioneers. And then he kind of finds out that that's not the case. So in the first book, he gets out of the mines. So the Red lives or his clan lives in the mines on Mars. And he hasn't even seen the sky, he hasn't seen anything outside, because they are not supposed to know what the outside looks like. So if you're watching this vlog, you probably already know this, because, you know, why would you watch it otherwise, I think. I don't think I would watch a vlog with sequels if I didn't know already. So in the first book, we follow Darrow when he at first work in the mines. He is 16-year-old and married, and his wife dies. Because there are very strict rules that they have to abide by, and they don't. So she ends up being killed, and he ends up also being killed, but then he's revived. And when he's revived, he's brought outside of the mines, and there are some people that are kind of the resistance that makes the decision that they want him to lead the resistance eventually. They're gonna make him a golden, so one of the golden ones, and they are supposed to be the most prominent in this whole system. So the golden people are at the top, and they modify his body completely, and his looks and everything, so that he's a golden one. And then they send him off to some kind of academy, and at the academy he's supposed to win, so that he can go further into the education, and then, like, you know, nestle himself into the society on a higher level, so that he can break the society from within. And I just love that premise. I think it's actually also one of our fantasy bingo board thing, right? I think this one cuts it, or that one cut it for that one. Yeah. So anyway, and then in the first book ends with him winning and being selected by, I think the English word would be like arch-governor. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm reading it in Swedish. So the Swedish word is like arch-governor. So this book begins with him being taken away from, or brought away with this arch-governor away from where the academy's education was, the school, and he's going to be further educated. And then, so the prologue in this book is about that, and then we skip 2 years ahead. So in the first book he ages from 16 to 18 at this academy, and in this book it starts with him being 20 and being a bit along in the further education. So I look forward to finding out how his journey goes, and how his how his mission goes. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you about it when I reach like 100 pages or something, and see what I think about it. Let's hope I continue to enjoy it as much as I did with the first book. So yeah. Okay, so I am again on my way to the library, and I'm waiting for the bus, and across the street there is a yard sale, kinda, I think that's what it's called in English. There's like an antique store across the road, and I think every Saturday or something they hold like a yard sale for people to join them selling stuff, you know. So they are just setting up now, and there is the store. So they are setting up there. I might go and look at all the stuff when I get back, but right now I just want to go to the library. So we'll see what the day brings. Okay, so I did not think it was gonna be so hard to find time alone to give you guys updates. So here I am, finally. So it's been a couple of days since I started this one, Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. It's been a couple of days, and I said I was gonna update you when I hit 100 pages. Well, I have read more than half. I have read 276 pages out of 462. So the Swedish edition that I'm reading is 462 pages. So yeah, I am really enjoying it. I read like 170 pages yesterday or something. And I have talked about earlier on this channel that I don't like being stressed. Like, I don't like having little time to read a book, and I realized that I had only like 11 or 12 days to read all 3 of the books that I was gonna vlog about, because they're all due at the same day. 2 of them there are waiting lists on 2 of them, and this ain't it. So this one is the only one I could extend my loan on, but I chose to begin with this one because I read Red Rising and I liked it and I wanted to jump into the next one. So I was like, did I make a bad choice? Should I have waited with this one and started another one? But I'm really enjoying this a lot, and it's an easy read. I have to say that there's a lot of, I think, typos in this book. It's the same translator for both books that I have read so far in this trilogy. And in the first book, Red Rising, or Rött uppror, there were almost no typos. There was like a flow in the writing and in the translation, and it was really good. There's a couple of words that took me a while to understand because it's a sci-fi and because of the technology, and because a lot of the words are shortened. So I had to think, like, what could this be? What kind of technology are we talking about? And it took a while to really understand what it was. I think it would have maybe taken me longer in English if the words were shortened as well. So I don't blame the book for that. It was eventually explained, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. And that's like a writing style thing, I think, or a storytelling choice, to let the reader know, along the way, what things mean and what words mean and that sort of thing. So I wasn't very, it's not a bad thing. It just took me a while, but it was kind of funny because I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is what it is, and then I was like, no, of course it's not. It's a sci-fi. Okay, so a funny thing. One of the moons, I think, of Jupiter in Swedish is called Europa, which is the same as the country Europe, Europa. So for a lot of this book, I thought that there was a knight that had retired in Europe, our continent, Eurasia, with Europe, our, the European Union, Europe. And then it took me a while to understand that it was the moon. So yeah, but anyway, So in this book, there's a lot of typos. I think it's typos because since it's the same translator, then the language is the same. But there are a lot of words that are like cut off. So a lot of the typos kind of destroys the grammar in this book, in the Swedish edition, and it kind of halts my reading sometimes. And I'm so curious to know if this is if there's another edition out with this that doesn't have the typos, because I would love to have this book eventually. I would probably reread this series if it continues to be this good. But I don't know if I can manage. I don't know if I want to own a book with this many typos. And does the typos continue in the third book? That's what I'm curious about. So when it comes to the story, I'm really enjoying the story. I am not that fond of like action scenes and like war scenes with a lot of action. It just tends to like depending on the writing style, I have a hard time following it. You know, there's a lot of authors that are great at visualizing and helping the reader visualize what's happening. And if those authors have fighting scenes, so you can like follow it through all the way, then that's great. That's most often all right. But this author, sometimes it just happens so quickly that I can't keep up with my visualization, and it just becomes like, you know, like the Matrix, the movie where everything slows down and you can follow it. It's like the opposite, and I just lose interest in the whole scene. And that happens quite a few times with fighting scenes in this one, that I can't really follow it, because there's like parts of the fighting missing or something like that. But there's not enough fighting scenes so far in this book for me to lower the rating because of it. Because there's more like strategy and planning, and like it's more cunning, and it's more like psychological, and I enjoy that. And then the fight scenes just become like a small part of a necessary thing that's important to the plot line and important to the psychological warfare, or like the games that they play to manipulate an enemy and that sort of thing. So I think this book is better in that aspect than the first one. It's more strategy in this one and less just brute force and brute violence, and I enjoy this more. So that's what I think about this so far. Maybe I didn't spoil the plot anything so far, I don't know. Earlier today, I shared with you when I removed tabs from library books. So you see, like, I tabbed this one, and then I saved the quotes in my reading journal. And because they are library books, I have to remove the tabs before returning them. So I don't like highlight or underline or anything. I just put tabs where I have quotes or like funny things that people say, and you know, humor. And then I remove the tabs. So I showed you earlier when I removed tabs from a few books, 2 books out of 3, because one of them I DNF'd. So I went to the library today. I couldn't really film there per usual. There was a lot of people as usual. It's a weekend now. I rarely go on weekends, but it's a weekend now, and there was a lot of people at the library. There was a lot of children at the library. One thing though that I'm gonna share with you, they had a sale of books. They always have like a table with 2 rows of books that they are clearing out. I don't know the reasons for clearing out the books. My thought was that it was books that weren't that popular and they needed room for newer editions or newer books to the library and to put on their shelves. But guess what I found? I found this one. It's Sally Rooney's Intermezzo, and I think it's the Swedish, yeah, it's the Swedish translation, and this has been, I think it's been quite popular in Sweden, and I think that when I wanted to read it like a year ago, there was a waiting list for it, so I was gonna read it for a book club on Fable. I think it was like 6 months ago when I think about it. It was maybe 6 to 9 months ago, and I couldn't read it with the book club on Fable because the waiting list was so long, so I just didn't get on it because it was like, no, I'm not interested in reading that when it comes. I wanted to read it for the book club. And then the hype, you know, went down a little bit, but I didn't really think it was gonna be like on the clearing table at the library. It cost me all of 2 crowns, 2 Swedish crowns. I will put, like here somewhere, I will put that in number and the currency. So if you want to know what that is in your current, yes, I'm gonna put those there so that you can look that up if you're interested. But that's so cheap. It's like if I were to buy this new when it came out, it would have been add 2 zeros to that and then 100 more Swedish crowns, I think. So I don't know why this was on that table. If there's like, I don't think there's pages missing. Maybe it's been like annotated in it or something. There's like a reason for. I can't really find anything. But whatever it is, if there is something wrong with it, it's clearly worth 2 crowns to find out and read a book at the same time. So I'm gonna put a little slip with the name of this into my TBR jar, and maybe I'll get to it in a few months or so if I don't want to read it before that. I can do that. I can pick books from my shelves and read them when I want to read them. No, I don't have to wait for the TBR jar. But anyway, I don't feel like reading this right now, so I'm not gonna do it in this vlog. But I just wanted to share this find with you. I really thought it was a find. And when I went to pay for it, the cashier at the library, she was like, is this really what? And she was like, no, this could be. And then she looked at the back where they have crossed over this, and then she opened it and she was like, yeah, it's been cleared out. What a find! Aren't you a lucky one? And I was like, yeah, I am. And that's what I thought. Yeah, my spiritual guides are with me, maybe. We'll see. Okay, good morning everyone. So today is Monday, the 18th of August, and I am happy to say that I did a little work yesterday, so I have the morning free today, and I need it because I have some things to do, and then I'm going to get my hair cut around lunchtime, so it's gonna have to look like this for a while. But yeah, so we're having like early fall weather here in Sweden. The winds have changed, so from warm winds to colder winds, so it's been a drop of like 7 degrees Celsius from like just one day to another just before the weekend. So now it's about 8:45 in the morning and the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius outside. So like a week ago at this time it was like 22 degrees Celsius, 23 or 24 this time of day. So it's been like a whoop, a drop. But that's fine with me. It can stay like this for a while. I'm perfectly fine with that. I actually like when the weather is a bit cooler and you don't get scorched in the middle of the day, because this temperature means that I'm gonna have a lovely bike ride to the hairdresser later, and I'm not gonna be like all sweaty when I get there. So that's wonderful. So I'm of course here to talk about books. So I finished this one yesterday. I was gonna talk about it late last night, but I was too tired. So I finished this yesterday, and I don't really know what to say. I think it's a wonderful book. I think I like this one better than the first one, maybe. I think this was this had, well, it had less gore for one, and it had less fight scenes without like strategy behind them, and I've come to realize that I like when there's strategy in the fighting, and not just like, oh, I hate you, you know, not the spontaneous, just raw, brutal way. I enjoy when there's a strategy involved, and it had some twists and turns where I was like, what? That guy? So yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. Yeah, I really did. So I don't want to spoil this book too much, but like we continue to follow the red trying to rise against the golden, and Darrow is kinda, they have invested a lot in Darrow to make him really rise to the occasion, and he's really put to the test in this book, and his skills and his mind and everything, and he's really trying to prove that he is worthy more to himself than anyone else. He really doubts himself, and he doubts the dream, and he doubts everything, but not in like a way that that makes it, you know, makes you roll your eyes at him. It's more like, it's relatable. It's nice to see that he has fears and a bit of anxiety when going into things, and it makes him human. So I really enjoy this, and I have looked up the next book, and hopefully it will be available at the library still when I go there in a few days. I hope. I really hope. I don't plan to go there until this one and two others are supposed to be in, you know, due at the library. So we'll see, but I'm hoping to get to the next one in September. Now, when I had finished that one, I had a bit of reading time left in the evening, so I picked up this one, The Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli, and this is the second book in the duology with the Crimson Moth, and I planned to read this one. So this one has a waiting list on it at the library, so I have to read it now, or I have to wait for an eternity. So I have read about 25 pages in this one. It's an easy read, mainly because the font is so big. And you see, like, this is, yeah, the font is very big, and I think it's a YA. It doesn't say. Usually it says like, yeah, it says, yeah, it's a U for, in Swedish, the word for young is ung with a U at the beginning. So at the library it says a U at the beginning, at the back, if it's on from that area. So you can see on this one there's no U at the front. It starts with an H. So yeah, you can tell it's a YA from the writing style, and but I really loved the first book. It's not called The Crimson Moth in Swedish, it's called Heartless Hunter, and I really enjoyed that. It was a 5-star for me. I just flew through it. I really enjoy the rivals to lovers to whatever that is happening between Gideon and Rooney, and in the first book, I think I also told you guys in my wrap-up when I talked about the Heartless Hunter that one thing that I did enjoy is that this is a romantasy, but you can take out the romance and the plot still works. And I like that when the romance adds something to it and it doesn't take over the fantasy and the plot. So it's a nice yeah, it's a nice addition, but it's not crucial to the story in my opinion. Maybe other people have other opinions, but I think that's what I think. And so I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to continuing this one. I can't tell you that much about it right now because I've just started it, but yeah, I'll get back to you. Okay, good morning, I'd say. It's now, I want to say it's Friday, but it's not Friday, it's Tuesday. It's just Tuesday. And as you can see, I got my hair cut yesterday. And then every time I get my hair cut and then sleep on it, it just gets like, everything just on the sides, but you know, okay. That's just me being a bit vain, I think. So, I have now reached the 100-page mark in this book. I actually am starting to feel a little stressed out to read this one and another book before they are due on Monday, because it's only 6 days left. And I basically have this today and tomorrow to finish this one. And then I have Thursday, Saturday, Sunday to read another book that is even longer. Because on Friday the plans are to go hiking with my dad. And that's self-explanatory. I will not be reading on the hike. I might have the energy to read afterwards, but I don't plan for it, because if I plan for it, like set a mark for how many pages I'm gonna get through, then it will just stress me out. But I am a little bit stressed, and I don't know how many times I have to say to myself that this is a bad idea. But I know what I did wrong. What I did wrong was reading The Golden Sun first, because that was due later, so I would have had time after, and now I feel stressed. So I just have to keep trying to teach myself and hoping to learn from my mistakes, that I keep making new mistakes, it seems, and getting nowhere, or like baby steps ahead. We call them ant steps in Sweden. Myrsteg, ant steps. Yeah, anyway, so I reached the 100-page mark. I actually set for myself yesterday that I wouldn't go to bed unless I had reached the 100-page mark, because it made me feel a little less stressed, and I had a lot of other things to do. Right now I'm in a flow of editing old footage, so I have edited, yesterday I finished editing the June wrap-up, and I put it on my YouTube on here, and today I'm editing the July wrap-up. I actually just finished that, and I'm gonna save it and export it and that sort of thing during today, because I have a little bit of a gap between work things, and I also feel inspired to do this. And yeah, that means that I spend a lot of time editing those videos because I have the time to, which means I spend my free time editing and not reading, and that, yeah, I'm doing it to myself. That's just the way it is. So what do I think about this book 100 pages in? Well, I must say that so far I am a bit underwhelmed. I did enjoy the first book so much, and I had such high hopes for this one. I have to keep in mind that me being a bit stressed means that I'm not able to enjoy it as much. So the thing that I am underwhelmed about is the romance in it. In the first book, the romance didn't take up too much space. It was clearly a part of the plot line, you know. It was interwoven with the plot, but it you know, had its place. In this book so far, it feels a bit like it's overtaking the plot, and it's really a romantasy, you know. And I'm fine with that. It's just that it's so back and forth. It's so back and forth. It's like they're supposed to hate each other, then trying to hate each other, but they love each other, but they don't want to know that they love each other, and they don't want to acknowledge it to themselves. So they keep making heartfelt decisions and then getting into trouble for it. And I'm just I found myself, maybe because I was a bit impatient yesterday while reading, or I got a bit impatient. And I don't know if it stems from me having little time to read it, or if I'm just impatient with their relationship at this point, because I'm like, just make up your mind. Are you gonna be allies, or are you gonna be enemies? You can keep on having this internal struggle, just choose a direction, damn it. Just choose to, you know, it sounds horrible, but like, choose to be in pain inwards, but making the right decisions outwards, or choose to follow your heart and get into all sorts of trouble, but you will have each other. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at. So we'll see where they end up. Yeah, I'm very happy that Rooney has seen the truth about Cressida, because that's where I am in this book. She's seen the truth about Cressida and Cressida's plans, and she's trying to do the right thing. So that's kind of the part of the plot that I'm hanging on to at the moment. So we'll see what I think about it when I'm finished. I think I will probably talk to you next time when I'm finished. Yeah. So. So I'm not liking what's happening here. They seem to be moving heavy stuff onto the lawn in front of our building. And so in our, I don't know the word for it. I have to look up the word. I'm gonna put it here. So we are having like renovations done on the buildings. So there's a schedule for this, and I completely forgot what house was next. It's not ours, but them putting things on the lawn doesn't bode well, because that might mean that it's a building really close to us, and that we will have to deal with the noise pollution, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I want to be able to make videos, and it's colder outside now. So today it's about 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. It's only 9 in the morning though. But fall is upon us. So that means less opportunity to be outdoors to film, and less opportunity to be outdoors filming as we, go into the fall. So I don't like where this is going. When I leave home later today, I'm gonna have to check the note. When you go out, there's like a board with notes from the board. Same word for different things. Like a physical whiteboard or something, and then a board like people in charge, right? That's the same kind of board. It spells the same, pronounced the same. English is weird. Swedish also have those kinds of words. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna have to check the board and see what building was next, because I wanna know. Good morning. So it's now Wednesday, and I have a dentist appointment this afternoon. So right now it's 9:45 and I have a dentist appointment at 3, but I have to leave home at 2:30 because of the really crappy like timetables for the buses, etc. right now, because there are so many places in Stockholm that are like being rerouted due to construction on the roads, so it's gonna take forever to get there. I feel like 1.5 hours. That's insane. That's insane. So, or it will take like 1 hour and a little more to get into the city, and then I have to walk a bit. So I have that today, and the reason, because you might be like, well, why is your dentist so far away, Caspian? Why? Because I have PTSD, and I have found a clinic that specializes in patients with PTSD and anxiety disorders, and I have been going to them for 6 years. Let me just brief you. When I started going there 6 years ago, I chose them because they have permission to sedate people for procedures, and they had to do that. And on top of that, I needed someone with me to be my moral support, but also to stay with me until the sedation had gone away and I was awake again, and helped me home. So it was like a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Today I'm going by myself. I'm doing a procedure I've never done before, but I've been briefed on it. So it's like, and I'm not gonna be sedated. I haven't been sedated for the last year. It was over a year ago that I was sedated the last time. I think it was 2 years ago, actually. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. That was sedated last. Then I got a new dentist at the same office because my other one retired or something. And she kind of refused. She was like, no, we're gonna get through this, you and I. Just tell me what you need, tell me what you want, and we're gonna go through it. We're gonna do it. I can numb every part of your face, but there's no need to sedate you. And I was like, okay, I've been here enough that I trust the team, So she managed that, and then it's been like step by step. They helped me work through it, and they are they are so good at working with the patients and what the patients need, and they are never judgmental. They are never anything but understanding. And remember, I told you I'm a shamanic practitioner, so I have my ways of dealing with things. So when I tell them about that, they are curious, they are intrigued, and they do what they can to help to meet me halfway. They are very holistic in that sense, so they never brush anything off, So but I have that this afternoon, and so I cleared my schedule for today because I realized that I'm probably gonna be a ball of anxiety anyway, or if I'm not, that's a bonus. So I am a bit anxious today. I did go through it in my mind just a moment ago. So I did that. I've gone through all of the scenarios. I've gone through, what my fears are, what the anxiety comes from, and I pinpointed that, and I found a plan for it. So I'm less anxious now. The only thing I don't like right now is that I am limited for time, because it's 10 to 10 and I have to work out, and I usually do that when I'm anxious to get rid of excess energy. So I'm gonna work out in like 10 minutes, and then I have to make lunch, and then I have to leave home at 1:30. And the thing is, I still have 200 pages of this. I read a lot yesterday, but I still have 200 pages of this. So I'm not sure I'm gonna get through it today, I was hoping I would, but I didn't plan to have to leave home so early, even though it's in the city. So I think I'm gonna maybe have to realize that I might not have time to get through both this and the next book I want to read, which is so unfortunate because I saved like the best for last, and they both has to be in on Monday, so it's Wednesday today, and the other book is 620 pages. So okay, different scenarios. If I get through this book today, I still have only 3 reading days, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, to get through the last book, which means I have to read over 200 pages each of those days, and I do have other stuff to do. So all in all I have like 800 pages to read in 4 days. That is not an ultimate scenario for enjoying what I'm reading. So I'm considering the next scenario, where I realize that I'm not gonna have time for the big book, which is so unfortunate, because it's due back on Monday, because there's a waiting list, and I waited for it for quite a while, like 2 months. So I'm gonna have to put myself on the waiting list again for that one. But so okay, but that's fine, right? That's fine, because I think I would rather not start that book and have it again in a few months than be stressed about reading this one and reading that one and not enjoying them, you know? Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna give myself more time with this, and then if I have more time, you know, when I'm finished with this, I will start something else. So I do have another sequel that I might, if I get through this in a timely manner, I might read another sequel in this vlog, but probably not. Probably not. I'm probably gonna make another reading vlog or just a reading update about that one. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that's the answer, right? To give this more time. I feel so bad about not reading the other book though, because I really wanted to read. I actually said in my last reading vlog, I said, ooh, I feel like this, I feel like I want to read this book, I think, and then I just postponed it, and here I am, and I'm not gonna read it. I have to put myself on the waiting list again. So this is the downside of not buying books and keeping them on my shelf, that I have to work around this. So it's a minor inconvenience, I would say, but still an inconvenience. Yeah. Okay, so update, it's later today. It's almost 7 p.m. over here. You can tell, right? It's a bit, actually it's gonna rain soon, so there's a big cloud. Anyway, first off, the most important thing, and that is the reading, right? I haven't read that much today in the Rebel Witch, since I told you that I'm gonna just have to accept that I'm not gonna be able to read both books I want to read. And then I got home. So I got home for a while ago. I've eaten some dinner, and it went okay at the dentist. It went better than I had. No, I think it went kind of exactly like I anticipated it to go. And then I'm sitting here post dinner, having a cup of tea, watching some booktube. It's a recommendation video. And of course, when someone recommends books, that means I want to go onto the library website and see, is this book available? Is this book available? Is this book available? You know. So I logged on to the library website, And I remembered, oh, I need to check how long the waiting list is for the other book that I want to read, so I know if I want to put myself on the waiting list as soon as I return it, or if I want to wait a little. And then, to my surprise, it's not due on Monday anymore. I don't know what happened, because I have a receipt somewhere that says that it was due on Monday the 25th of August, and there was a waiting list on it, right? There's still a waiting list on that book, but it's not due until like the 8th of September. So I have like 2 more weeks. I don't know what happened. I swear I didn't do anything. And as a library reader, like, you know, or customer, I can't change anything with books that there are waiting lists on. So, and then I saw that the Rebel Witch wasn't due until the 8th of September either, and I was like, wow. So I only have one book that's due on Monday, and it's that small, I told you about it in other reading vlog, the Lee Bardugo book that I can't read, because apparently it's not a good way to start, because it's apparently like snippets of another series, and it's like, yeah, it's like the bonus novella of a series that I don't know about. So anyway, that means I have more time. I have 2 more weeks with both books, and I don't need to rush, and I will be able to read my Carissa Broadbent book this time. I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. So yeah, that was my update.
Så bättre än andra håll faktiskt.
Så. Molnen som jagar oss. Så att det var då?
Aha, nej.
Okay, so it is Saturday, and I'm gonna wrap up this reading vlog because I have finished this book. I thought that I wasn't gonna read anything yesterday, but the hike with my dad was it was wonderful, but we had Thor's dark clouds hanging over us the entire time, so we had to cut it short. So I was home in the early afternoon instead of early evening. So and that was a good choice, I tell you, because literally I came through the door, changed clothes, went to the kitchen to unpack my bag with like my is it called thermos in English as well, with my hot chocolate, and I looked out the window and it was pouring. So it was a good choice to cut it short. So that gave me an afternoon with a bit more energy than I was expecting, a bit more time than I was expecting. And yeah, I read the last like 100 pages, 98, I'm sorry, 98 pages yesterday. So my final thoughts on this book is I think, okay, where do I start? First of all, I gave it a 4-star rating. Probably what I'm gonna say in my wrap-up for August as well. We'll see. I'm hesitant to give it such a high rating because there were so many things that made me clearly not enjoy this as much as the first book. The first book I flew through, it pulled on my heartstrings, I really loved it, read it, you know, I was just flabbergasted with it. This one, I didn't, you know, it was like, yeah, I can pick it up and read it, but I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't like, ooh, I'm gonna pick it up. It was more like, yeah, I wanna know how it ends, so I'll read it. But that's not the mark of a 5-star read, you know. So, I'm gonna put it down. That was weird. It wasn't comfortable to hold it like that. So, some of my thoughts on it are that I still think that the romance takes up too much space in this book. Especially if you compare it to the first book. Because with the first book, I was, you know, as we say in Sweden, eldolågor, fire and flames about. That's like when you are, oh, you know, I was fire and flames about the fact that I thought the romance and the storyline went so well together, neither took space from the other, you could take the romance out and the plot would continue, and you know, all the things that I liked about it. With this one, there were several instances where I was like, can you just stop with your silly little romance, whatever this is. It wasn't bickering, it was like internal struggles that I was just over, you know. I was like, just please. So when that resolved, the book got way better, but it happened too late in the book. So I think the resolve with the romance, like this, they finally decided what they felt, and you know, acknowledged what they felt, and if not to each other but to themselves, so that the plot like moved forward from that, because it was like it was a tangle, like a tangle of weeds or something, before they could resolve that. It was really like their internal struggles were really reflected out into the rest of the book, and I was just, I was frustrated for a while. And then when they resolved that within themselves, the plot moved a bit forward, in my opinion, and that happened way too late. When that happened, there were so many things hanging in the air that I was like, is this really a duology? There's so many things, so for this to have a satisfying ending, this would need to be a trilogy, in my opinion, because there were so many things. I was like, they're not gonna be able to fix this in these pages that are left. So that was my thought, and that still is my thought, because now I've read it all, and the ending was, I got the ending I wanted, so I'm not complaining about the ending in itself, but I'm complaining on how we got there, because the ending, the book was resolved so quickly, and like it was like the author recognized that, oh, I don't want this book to be 800 pages. I don't want to write another book about this, so I gotta wrap this up. How can I wrap this up the quickest, most efficient way, and still tie all the, tie all the knots together? That's kind of how it felt. So I was extremely disappointed in how we got there. I was extremely disappointed in the last 100 pages. In how it happened, So I'm happy with the ending in itself. I'm happy that there isn't. I would have read another book. I would actually have preferred that the author took her time and then made another book, so that what was left, like 150 pages from the end, if she could have easily made another book about that. So she could have. This is 450 something pages, I think, and it could have been 350 or 375, and end with a cliffhanger, or you know, on a very good note. I know the perfect place where it could have ended, and the next book begin. And I'm gonna give you a spoiler here, so if you haven't read it, skip this part. If you have read it, you can listen. Tell me if you agree. So towards like the during the other half of the book, the second half of the book, Rooney is being captured by Cressida, and she is being tortured. So she has been tortured, and then she's being taken on the ship there. That's where I think the story should have ended, with, you know, all these untied knots, all of these loose threads. And then the third book could have started with her waking up and being in pain but realizing she's still alive, and then meeting this witch Juniper that has helped her heal. You know, I think that would have been a really good place. Maybe that's too early in the book, but that would have been a good place. Or maybe when she got, when she managed to escape. You know, there are so many little places, like small places in the second half of the book, because the author cramps so much together, so there are a lot of like twists maybe, and yeah, and there's also this twist at the end that I think that the author is her intention was for people to be like, really? But I was like, well, that was predictable, because she needs to have some kind of twist around here for all of the pieces to come together. You know, there's gotta be something. So I think that is the end of my spoiler. So I'm gonna end this here, and I hope you've enjoyed this vlog and the bits in between my reading. I shared a little bit from the forest that we went to yesterday. We went to a nature preserve here in Stockholm, where I live, and we have a lot of those. So if you ever visit Sweden, look up our nature preserves, our national parks. Highly recommend. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. So before I go, if you want to know what I'm gonna do a focus on for the last week of August, I'm gonna read this one. I started it yesterday evening. It's My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I finally learned the English name for it. L'amica geniale in Italian, Min fantastiska väninna in Swedish, and My Brilliant Friend in English. So I started reading this one yesterday, so I have that one, and then I have the book club book that I need to finish in a week, and I feel good about having a week to do that. And then I can also mix in a little bit of annotating of the Clan of the Cave Bear, because again I have more tabs. Yep. So with that said, I will see you in my next video, and enjoy your reading. I try my best to. Singling!